What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to talk about what the data is suggesting so far is causing the market to pop a bit, what I predict is likely going to happen as time goes on. But before I bring anything down, all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So anyways, let's talk about the market, what's going on thus far. Let me just switch this back to the US. For some reason, this switched. We had some data that just came out. Core PCE was aligned with expectations. Initial jobless claims was aligned with expectations. PC in general was aligned with expectations, and now we just have Chicago PMI coming out in about 15 minutes after market open. Then we just have some bill auctions later on during the day. So far, all data has been aligned with expectations or quite decent, and the market's popping thanks to that. However, like I said earlier, we were talking about this. I was mentioning this yesterday that there might be a pop coming to the market thanks to this, but I don't fully trust it because ultimately the bigger move is going to be to the downside over the next couple of weeks, in my opinion. Don't forget that for tomorrow we have the manufacturing data plus Jerome Powell's speech, so make sure you're prepared for all of that. When it comes to news affecting the market, don't forget that as we are opening, there's news coming out about how it's the last day of November. We could get a decent day for the markets. Market could try to hold up a bit, but I still anticipate some downside to come later on, and I'm not necessarily changing my mind. Don't forget that the Fed is once again going to be on the headlines tomorrow, as we're going to be looking at how they end up affecting yields and what they say about the moderation of policy or not. There's some news that came out involving Elon Musk that was pretty comical. On top of that, there's some news involving Nvda. Once again, it's tripling its revenue in the third quarter, and it's once again continuing to see even more growth, which is great news for them. And that's pretty much it for the time being. But those are the main pieces of news thus far. I'm very excited about the Cybertruck event as well. As of right now, I'm seeing that the websites and their Twitter page for the Cybertruck for Tesla is saying that the event should be today at 2 p.m. Central Time. I'm very excited about it. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see what happens. This is going to be very interesting for Tesla. Anyways, let's talk about the charts. How are things looking? One thing worth noting, we're going to start off with SPY, is this thing is attempting to push just a bit, but when you zoom out, let me show you like right here, we also happen to have like a head and shoulders like pattern on SPY. So are we about to reject and come back down like this? Or are we going to push a bit more? Because I think we could be forming a flag right here. Either way, guys, I think the market's going to open up green. We might even see an attempt to push up again. It doesn't matter if this thing pushes up to 456.5 or even 457.5. Does not matter to me because I think we're going to ultimately see a rejection. I think it's going to come back down to earth and retest the lows that we've made. So there could be a little pop again. We're going to likely try to gap up into the 455s, if not 456. Could even try to push a little bit as we open, depending on Chicago PMI. But then it's going to likely be a rejection coming. And I think this thing is going to be coming right back down. And as the day goes on, we might see a slowdown. When tomorrow comes, I think there's going to be even more selling. So I'm anticipating some downside anyways. Look for a pop and drop. And make sure you watch your levels carefully. Watch resistance at 456.5, 457, 457.5, and then 458. Watch support at 455. If that fails us, watch 454. And below that, we have 453. In my opinion, might pop and drop soon. It could try to range trade for a bit around the 455s just for a little bit before we start to see some downside. I still hold to the same view as before. There's also a possible head and shoulders that may play out, so just be careful. Look for a pop and drop and more downside starting tomorrow. The QQQ, same thing. Possible slanted head and shoulders. We could pop on the QQQ and retest 391. If we try to break this, there's an imbalance to fill towards 392. It could push a little bit more with all the data coming out, but I think ultimately it's going to fail, and I think it's going to eventually come back down. I think that the QQQ is eventually going to like pop in and come back down to this liquidity zone towards 386.5. First, we might pop a bit, hold up. We're kind of forming this flag right over here. And I think it's going to eventually come back down as time goes on. So look for a little retest of this liquidity zone, 391. It could go a little higher, completely fine, and eventually it should come back down by Friday. On Nvda, this is looking kind of decent thus far. We actually have this channel that's being respected. We're forming kind of like a flag as well. Gonna be looking for a little pop. Could we try to bounce and retest 485? That's going to be bullish. If we fail and we break below this, watch for 480. If we lose that, it's going to turn more bearish. We have this gap to fill at 478, not to mention more support at 474. So it's going to turn more bearish if we end up breaking below 480. As of right now, we're kind of in between 480 and 485, but Nvidia's looking kind of weak, so look for the little pop that's coming. I think it's eventually going to be making its way back down towards 477, unfortunately. So I think we might get a breakdown soon on Nvidia. Excuse me, sorry guys, but it might pop first before coming back down. On Apple stock, Apple's also looking kind of weak. We're barely at 189. We failed to hold above 190. We pushed and we got rejection off 190. I still believe Apple's going to see some downside. We have a head and shoulders like pattern on the hourly. I think it's going to eventually come down to 189 and then break down towards 188 and below that. So I anticipate some downside. I still think it's very probable. Could Apple pop a bit and retest 190 to 190.5? It sure can. We also have an imbalance at 191, so even if we get one more pop, I still don't trust it. It could pop back to 190 to 191 and then reject and come right back down. I think eventually it's going to be coming back down to 188 over the next couple of days. My view, my opinion has not changed on Tesla. Now, Tesla's looking kind of decent. We are trying to push just a bit, but you can see Tesla's kind of struggling to get above 247. So what's interesting is there could be like some range trading happening between 242.5 and 247. We could just range trade for a bit approaching the event, and then we'll see if the event pumps this thing one more time before it falls, or if we just continue falling. But I think ultimately after the event is over, going into tomorrow, we might see some downside on Tesla. I think that Tesla could fill this imbalance towards 238. You can even argue that we have like an inverse cup and handle that could be forming. I'm not counting on that just yet. Look for a little pop. Look and see how the event affects Tesla. But I anticipate that after the event and after going into like tomorrow and next week, there might be a little downside. We might see Tesla come back to earth, cool off towards 238. Pop and drop is what I'm anticipating. I think there could be some downside. All right, guys. That's it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. Don't forget, we have the Chicago PMI coming out 15 minutes after market open. We have the Bill auctions at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have the Cybertruck event for all the Tesla fans out there at 2 p.m. Central Time or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're ready, make sure you're prepared, and you do whatever is necessary. All right, guys, have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon. Let's wait and see how Tesla does. Let's watch all these catalysts and watch our charts. All right, thank you and peace out.